Doni Christian Daci, who is joining us virtually via Zoom meeting, Rebecca Evelyn Raya, and also Mbak Citra Ariandari. Please give them a round of applause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's we start earlier now. Welcome to the first session of the first day of the summer school of Resound, and it's been really wonderful opening. And then we're gonna start our first session. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lani Putriana from Universitas Gadjah Mada, and welcome everyone. And I also would like to welcome our wonderful speakers. They're gonna have presentation today. First of all, Bapak Sri Margana, a senior lecturer in the Department of History at Universitas Gadjah Mada and a distinguished scholar of Japanese colonial and sociocultural history. And then we have two wonderful speakers from NIAS, Yahoo! Ibu Rebecca Evelyn Laya, a lecturer in the English Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education at Universitas Nias Raya. Her research interests encompass linguistics, socio-linguistic, and Nias language and culture, and also join us through the Zoom call from Nias juga Bu ya. Bang Doni Christian Daci, an independent culture practitioner and creative director of Nias Origin, based in Indonesia. And last but not least, Ibu Citra Ariandari, an ethnomusicologist and head of the ethnomusicology program at ISI Yogyakarta, with guest lectureship at the University van Amsterdam. Welcome to our first session. Our first session title is Modes of Archiving Canon Formation on/Told Histories. So we can just directly to the presentation from the first one, Bapak Sri Margana. We have 20 minutes for the presentation. The time is yours. Please welcome Bapak Sri Margana.
Okay, thank you, Rani. Good morning, everyone. It is good to be the first presenter. It's not because I'm the host. I don't know. Because of the order of the team to come. Okay then. Okay, today I would like to present about reconstructing a colonial sound recording event, an archival approach to early Japanese gamelan recording. So, actually, maybe if we are looking at the sound archive, we will aware that it's not easy to find this collection, although some has been inventorized by some institution. But there's also a special collection that sometimes we try to find, but we don't have any clue because of in the catalog. So sometimes when we start from the catalog, we directly see listening the sound, we can find out. But what happens if we start from the document, from the document archive. So I'd like to talk about the how the document, written document, is something very helpful to find interesting sound archive. This is not only about the content of the archive itself, but also the background, the historical context of the recording itself. So this sometimes become more important than what you see directly from the sound archive. So this is kind of method to find a collection, a special collection that may be hidden or maybe difficult to find what is the interesting or the historical context of the archive. So for me as a historian, and this is very classic approach to see start from the document and then go to the archive, sound archive. Okay, next. So in the early 20th century, recording of Japanese gamelan constitute an invaluable part of Indonesian sonic heritage and represent one of the earliest encounters between indigenous musical tradition and the global recording industry. Yet, identifying, locating, and reconstructing this recording remained a major challenge. Many recordings produced during the colonial period by European companies, including Odeon, Beta, Columbia, and so forth, are dispersed across libraries, museums, commercial archives, and private collections in different countries. So their fragmented provenance, incomplete cataloging, and uneven digitization have made it difficult to reconstruct both the recording themselves and the historical circumstances of their production. The colonial, we start with a basic argument that the colonial sound recordings should be understood not merely as isolated audio artifacts, but as the outcome of historically situated recording event involving complex interaction among recording companies, colonial institutions, local musicians, intermediaries, and collectors. So, to construct the social and institutional context of recording through documentary evidence, preserve an archival collection is very advisable. I try to find with the classical methods that usually historian has applied. Methodologically, research adopt an archival historical approach that combines provenance research, event reconstruction, and documentary analysis. And it examines administrative record, recording contract, correspondence, brokerage, document, shipping record, and institutional report preserved primarily in the Japanese archive of the special collection of the University Library of Amsterdam. I pay very special attention to this collection since 5 years ago, thanks to Barbara who guided me for the first time to see this whole collection, and I found it very interesting. And you will not, in this kind of document, you will not only find the recording themselves, but really which events behind all this recording. That's why I will take this step, to start with this research. This archival material are cross-referenced with surviving discographic company catalog and sound collection to trace recording session, identify performer and recording location, and reconstruct the circulation of recording across colonial and international network. Maybe you are very familiar with the work of Bruno Latour, Mika Cowan, and John Law, who conceptualized colonial sound recording as a network of human and non-human actors, including recording technology, recording companies, local performance, colonial official, broker, and archival institutions that collectively produced and circulated music knowledge. Also, the work of John Stein is very helpful in understanding of sound reproduction as cultural and technological practice, illuminate how recording technologies transform Japanese musical performance into globally circulating cultural objects, while simultaneously shaping their meaning within colonial system knowledge production. What we can expect from this kind of methodology? by reconstructing recording event through their documentary traces. So archival reports are not merely supplementary to sound recording, but constitute essential historical evidence for understanding the production, the mediation, the circulation of colonial sonic heritage. The proposed methodology contributes to the recovery of dispersed sound archive while offering a new framework for integrating archival research, sound history, and colonial and cultural history. It highlights the importance of the documentary archive in recovering the historical agency of musicians, intermediaries, and institutions that participated in the making of Southeast Asia's early recorded musical heritage. So, this is all the basic argument and foundation, theory and concept that I applied to start with this research. Let's now start with the collection of the archive. Yakun's collection have a kind of special collection of important correspondence. In the catalog, the old catalog, that's one. There are hundreds of correspondence between Yakuns and many famous names. And in this particular research, I concentrate on at least 20 different figures, important figures, like for instance Walter Spies, Stan Fritz, Stutterheim, Sack Kurtz, and other like J.D. Puro, and also different others important figure like Brandals, and also other colonial Orientalists, Dutch Orientalists, Germany Orientalists, and even American expert on this particular region, especially on gum language. So if you see this, next Yakuts correspondent have very important connection with Hussein Jadiningrat, Marpunugala Tujuh, Linda Bandara, J.D. Puro, Brandhaus, Walter Spies. All these people are very important in building his very important book on music in Java, the Gamelan, and the intensive communication between this all become the foundation of this book. Next, we also see some part of the background of the picture is when I visited the special collection a few years ago. You remember, Gabra, when was it? 2000?
No, 3 years.
2015 or 16?
16, 17.
16, yeah. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I'm still very skinny and now still skinny. And the curator of the special collection, saya lupa namanya. Bern, Pak Bern. Yeah, he's already retired and now has been replaced by somebody else. So it's very helpful in assisting me to see all the collection, whether it's all pictures, albums, and then also documents, archives. It's very interesting. And there are also some other like Sim Bridger, citizens with some food screen from Jakarta, Bali, Surakarta, Surabaya, and somewhere else. Next. If you see all from the catalog, it's like this. For instance, if you see this, correspond with Walter Spies as so many. The number of closure in each bundle are between 864, something like that. It's very large amount of document. So it's very rich information about it, and sometimes very surprising because in this correspondence something private matters that you can never find in the what you call it formal report. You can find here in this collection. This is part of the next is one of the instances of the original letter written by Yakuns or the other way around between Yakuns and Raden Mas Jayadipura. And you see this, and there's in the copy of the letters, you can see the Marti Kuno is the music gamelan group led by Raden Mas Jayadipura. And this letter mostly about the gamelan, about the problem, about the knowledge about gamelan. It's very specific. Sometimes there's very long list of questions given by young kids to Raden Mas Jayadipura, and then Raden Mas Jayadipura responded with very long and very thick answer, and then become the foundation of this group. Next. So, for instance, I will take one of the letter, which is what kind of information that we can get outside of the book that he's going to write, but also about the event, recording event. For instance, Yakun himself, he is interested to make all recording about gamelan Jawa, especially the gamelan belong to Pakualaman, Kesultanan, Sunan, and also belong to the Raden Mas Jayadipura himself. In this letter, he asking if we can come to see him on Thursday morning, October. We'll make a photographic record on Wednesday and immediately went to Telegram. So this kind of letters that suggest the interest of Yakuns in helping others also, and to see and asking for Jayadipura to help him to meet some important figure like Pakualam or Sultan to make a record. Next. And the other, we also see this kind of very long letter about the request of the Odeon as the recording company from Germany that interested to record Jayadipura. Marti Kuno group gamelan music group. In this letter he said, I have been back to Java since a few weeks after having spent 9 months in Europe. On board, I met a German engineer who came to Java to make gamelan recording for the Orion gramophone company according to the news testing, the results which are hardly different from reality. Steinhardt, Spinhook 50, Batavia, this is the address, had welcomed the easy side of this venture, and today I received a visit from its representative, Mr. Bachmann. So Mr. Bachmann is somebody who is kind of broker asking for the recording. On Bandung, many recordings have been made of Sudanese music, and now Mr. Bachmann wants to come to the royal countries. It means this translation should be about Istana Yogyakarta Keraton. And he now asked me about enlightenment about that. And in connection with this, I was so free to name, among other things, your name, as that of the best connoisseur of jazz music. And then Mr. Bachmann asked me to suggest that you enter a deal with them, because, as you may know, those gramophone companies do not ask the cooperation of players, singers, and gamelans, connoisseurs, or owner for free, but they are already giving a very decent fee for it. So the letter sent to Jayadipura is kind of over to Jayadipura of the interest of Mr. Bachmann to record the gamelan, and he promised about the fee, very high fee that he can pay. But of course, later follow with the kind of contract. It's very hard contract also. We have to consider in the side of Jayadipura. Next, this letters continue with Mr. Bachmann now asked me to ask you or your part, bring together the best Nyogo. Nyogo is a gamelan player, and singer that you can get in Jogja, and oblige you not to do the same for 5 years for another gramophone society. So this is contract that That's very hard. Odeon, for its part, offer you 200 guilders, 200 guilders per year for each of those 5 years. So you can see how much Joy to Go will receive from this contract recording contract. So for each of those, as well as 2 guilders for each successful gamelan or vocal recording that comes about through your mediation. So this is not only the function of the recording itself, but also Yoso Dubro was also asked to become a mediator to other recording. So to each mediator, he will get a kind of a fee as well, 2 guilders. The player and singer are honored separately by audience. If in principle you feel like such an agreement, please let me know as soon as possible and I will consult with Mr. Bach. And secondly, with the same post, I am sending you a money order of 35 guilders, the amounts that I deducted after deducting all expenses and expenses from the transaction with that American dancer, John Buffington. I believe that this, your future, since you have by far the most trouble in the matter, I could not send you that amount earlier because of unfortunate start of circumstances. So actually, Yusuf Ibro had a typical problem, financial problem in his life because of he was fired by Istana Kraton for a certain case. So that's why really I tried to find money to survive, and not only as mediator of the recording, but also, as you know, that his house was planned for the first Indonesian Women Congress in 1922. It means that he always used all of his assets to earn money for this. So this kind of offer actually is very very much welcome for Yusuf to deal with another problem, financial problem. So I only got hold a last part of what Mr. Pofino still owed during my stay in Europe. So the bill was lost, and only after endless correspondence between The Hague, London, and San Francisco, I did get bill finally appeared, which made payment. So we can make a given kind of in bahasa, in Lada, postcode, 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 early payment, so to make sure, in bahasa Indonesia, postcode, yeah, and that's the full story, yeah, somewhere. Okay, so this kind of offer. From this communication, we show that most of the recording event involving so many layers of figure, institution, and also people who are interested, whether it's a personal or whether it's a company, whether it's also a community. And this is only one of the so many letters requesting about the recording. So what is Joshua Joy Dipura response we'll see in the next letters. Answering to your request concerning the plan of Orient Grammar Company to record the songs of gamelan music, as you mentioned in your letter dated 12th of this month, I am pleased to accept the offer. Or I have a gamelan music group named Marti Kuno that is also good. I also have no objection regarding the rules, the date to record the music of Orient by on 21st April 1927 in my case. Please let me know then 10 days earlier when everything is fixed. So Joy agreed to do this, and with regard to other offer, in subsequent letters, he also needs to to sign a contract with different offer. So here we come back to the principle of a basic argument of recording event in the Netherlands at that time. This record is not an isolated document. That this is also very much connected in different situations. And if you see the connection between Dutch orientalists and Dutch expertise in building their interest, whether it's in the recording company for mainly for a business or also for the knowledge protection for the academic world. It's always involving this kind of mediator, involving the expertise, local expertise, the mediator. But you always see that there's always a kind of asymmetric relationship between the Dutch, who in charge here because he has the money and he do something, and the expertise like you who have a problem. In this kind of bargaining in the contract situation, and you see that you in very weak position because the weak position because of this financial situation has forced him to accept the contract even with very hard consequences. For 5 years, he has to reject any kind of other contract from other different countries. So this is kind of bargaining that uneven bargaining between the company, the Dutch company, and Curatorial is the main figure of the company.
Sorry to interrupt again.
Okay, because we will discuss later if there are any questions. But the main idea is help you that if you find a difficulties in to find a certain sound archive, you can also start with this archive written document. And sometimes even you find even more important aspect about the recording. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Morgana. Please have a clap. It's really not only complicated, but related to many people and institutional work that Jakun's been working for years, even after he back to Netherlands, and then the correspondence still going, and like thousands correspondence happening during years. Thank you so much. And we're gonna have a discussion after every presenters present their paper. Yeah, the next session we're gonna have Ibu Rebecca and Bang Doni. They're gonna join through the Zoom call. Yeah, Doni will be the first presenter. Yeah, welcome Bang Doni. Sorry, we still cannot hear you. Yeah? Yeah, you're still
Hello.
here? Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How are
Yeah.
you?
Can you guys hear my voices?
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for
Okay.
making your time, because Bandoni just finished his operation. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for making your time to join us today with Ibu Rebecca, and hopefully you get well soon and join us offline, hopefully. And yeah, we're gonna have 30 minutes for your session and with Bu Rebecca.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The time is yours. Please welcome Bang.
Okay. Now I will try to share my slide. Can you see the slide? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. For this session, I want to begin with one question. What if our ancestors could speak us today with their own voices? Not through a written document, not through a photograph, not through someone else's description, but through their actual voices. And that's the question at the heart of Suara Yang Pulang. My name is Doni, and today me and my colleague Bu Rebecca will share a story about Suara Yang Pulang, or the voice that returned. And before I begin, I would like to thank Resound Summer School Committee for inviting me to share this story in this forum. I really wish I could be there with you in person today, and I can imagine the lively conversation, the listening session, and the exchange happening in that room. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, I am not able to join you, but hopefully next time I can be there in a person. My first encounter with Yap Kuns happened in 2013, almost by accident. I came across a digital copy of Musik in Nias on Delper NL. As I was browsing the book, one sketch immediately caught my attention. It was a drawing by Rudolf Bonnet, the drawing of Duada Samakowa'a, one of my ancestors. And for me, this was a powerful moment because it was the first time I had seen a visual representation of him. And I still remember I'm sharing that sketch with my extended family group in Facebook. And like me, many of us, this is the first time we saw the representation, the visual representation of our ancestor. And as I continue reading, I realized that Musik Nias was a monograph of the music based on Yap Kuns' journey across the island in the 13th. It was a colonial era scholarly work by an European researcher who tried to classify, to describe and compare, and probably to preserve Nias musical tradition. And of course, today we can read this book critically. It was written from the perspective of an outside researcher within the colonial context. But at the same time, it preserved many details about Nias, about history of Nias, the sound, the music, and the oral tradition that for us, Niasan, we never encountered that before. And that was really fascinated for me. The more I read, the more fascinated I became. The book opened a part of Nias history that I had never known before. But the biggest surprise for me is Yap Kuns did not only write about Nias music, he also recorded it. And that completely changed how I saw the book. For the colonial period, we often find photographs, sometimes we find silent films, but sound recording from that period are much rare, I think. And the idea we could still hear voices, song, and oral performance from Nias recorded almost century ago, almost unbelievable to me. But at that time, even though I know from this paragraph from this book that Yap Kun has recorded the archive, I was just an ordinary person who just interested in history and culture where I'm came from. I had no idea where this recording were kept, whether they still exist or whether everyone keep that. So the question stay with me quietly. Where were these voices? Year passed and I almost forget about it. Then one day while browsing Facebook, something appeared in my feed. It was a story about the return of sound archive to East Nusa Tenggara by University of Amsterdam. And I clicked on it almost by habit. And there it was again, Yap Kuns. When I read the story, one thought immediately came to my mind. If the recording from Nusa Tenggara still exists, then perhaps the recording from Nias is also still exists. I keep reading the article and I learned that Dr. Barbara Titus, a musicologist from University of Amsterdam, was working on the project. So I decided to reach her out. At first, I'm hesitated. Actually, I'm not an academic in formal sense. I'm not a professional researcher. I'm simply someone from NIAS who deeply interested in history and culture of my own people. So I wondered, would she even reply to my email? But yeah, I decided to write anyway. And to my surprise, Barbara replied. And that was the beginning of our communication about Yapkun archive. We exchanged email and later we had a Zoom conversation. And that is the first time I got to know Barbara. In early 2025, my wife and I happened to have a chance to visit Netherlands. So I contacted Barbara and I told her I would be in Amsterdam. And she kindly invited me to meet her and generously arranged the visit to University of Amsterdam and the archive where the Yapkun collection is held. And that's the first time I saw Yapkun's material in person. His note, the photograph, combined with photograph from Rudolf Bonnet also, field recording, silent film, and other archival material. Barbara also told me that the sound recording had been digitized. And after the archive visit, we had a long conversation. I asked her whether it would be possible for me to bring digital copy of this recording back to NIAS. My idea was to share them during a cultural event in June at that year. And Barbara agreed. She gave me access to digital copy of the recording as well as silent film recorded by Yapkuns. And for me, this was very important because one of the main critiques of decolonial discussion is that archive holder often behave as if they are the absolute owner of the collection. And Barbara did not do that. She acted more as a mediator or a connector. And this showed me that meaningful restitution can emerge through dialogue, through trust, and willingness to share interpretive authority. The archive become meaningful again, not because ownership changed, but because the condition for collaboration were created. In June 2025, we brought back recording to NIAS and we showed them to archive exhibition. And what made this exhibition especially meaningful because the location, it was held at the house of Duada Solaganiha. She is the father of Duada Barani, one of the ho-ho singer recorded by Yapkuns in Hili Simetane. So the recording were not simply presented in formal museum setting. They were brought back into living cultural space, close to the family, the village, and the memory that connected to the people in the recording. And for me, this was not just an exhibition, it was a moment of return. Not a return of physical object, but a return of access, sound, and memory. In June, Barbara also came to Indonesia. I invited her to visit NIAS, and I asked whether we could organize a public lecture about Yapkun's recording. These recordings were almost unknown to NIAS. They were not part of collective memory of most people on the island. And I felt that Barbara was the right person to help to tell this story about this archive. During the lecture, digital copies of the archive were also symbolically handed back to several descendants of the people that recorded by Yapkuns. Again, what returned was not the wax cylinder itself. What returned was access. What returned was the possibility to listen, and listen opened the possibility of remember. One of the moving moments happened at that time is when the descendant of the people that recorded by Yapkuns perform the same ho-ho again in the same place where their ancestor had been recorded almost 100 years earlier. The atmosphere at that afternoon was difficult to describe. It felt almost magical. And that the time when I began to understand that Suara Yang Pulang was not only about bringing back old recording. It was about allowing those recording to become a part of life again. And then the initiative also attract the attention from Nias Diaspora in Jakarta. They later organized Suara Yang Pulang 2, where they invite me and Barbara to share the story about the project. The response was very moving. Just like in Nias, many people in diaspora had no idea that almost 100 years ago, an European researcher had come to Nias and recorded its sound tradition. But during that event, important question emerged. Now, after these voices has been written, what come next? That question changed the direction of the project because it reminded us that written is not the end. Written is only the beginning. One response came from Sunozo Aya, a Christian ministry foundation led by member of Nias community, Pak Pendeta Samuel Novelman WAU. And after listening to Yapkon archive, they were inspired to create a new spiritual ho-ho. Their starting question was simple but powerful. Can we use the expression of our ancestor to praise God? This question is important because there has been a long tension between traditional culture and Christianity in Nias. For many years, ho-ho and other traditional expression were often seen as separate from church life and even have a tension with it. But through this initiative, Sunojo Aya go to Nias, collaborate with ho-ho singer to create new kind of ho-ho with a Christian theme. Some of this recording even took place inside a church. For me, this is one of the most important outcome of Suara Yang Pulang, because the archive did not simply written as historical object. It is inspired new cultural creation. The old voices came home and they inspired new voices. One declaration from the Suara Yang Pulang is the restitution is not only about ownership. The project became possible because of trust, dialogue, and openness of archive custodians such as Ibu Barbara. And for me, the most meaningful outcome was not whether the wax cylinder physically returned to Nias. The more important question was whether Nias community could reconnect with the memory, knowledge, and cultural practice embedded in those recording. In that sense, what came home was not simply an object. What came home was relationship. And this is what I do not see Suara Yang Pulang as a project about bringing object home, but it's a project about bringing relation home. Now, before Bu Rebecca continue with the question of language and meaning, I want to play some short excerpt from Yapkun phonograph K111. At the end of the recording, that phonograph K111, we can hear the laughter. And this is not an anonymous laughter. This is the laughter of Duada Barani, a Siuli from Hilisimetana. For many of us, Barani was someone we knew only through oral story, passed down by our elder. He was remembered as a respected and charismatic figure. We had seen his photograph, like you see in the screen. He is a serious and dignified image of man full of authority. And we never imagined his laughter. That small laugh in the end of the phonograph K111 give us something that no photograph, no written note, and no family story could give. It gives us the glimpse of Dwada Barani present as a human being. And that's exactly why sounds matter. And now, probably Bu Rebecca can continue by asking another important question. When the sound written, how does the meaning written? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Doni. I wish you are here. You were here. Okay. So I will continue our presentation. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Rebecca Elwin. I am from the lecturer from Nias Raya University, and I am also a part of local community of Nias. So Doni also the one who invite the university to join this project also, Suara Yang Pulang. And yes, what the presentation right now, I want to present about from sound to meaning, what the archive keeps, what it loses, and why the community holds the missing half. So like what Doni already explained to us, that Yakuts preserve the sound. And he documented Hoho. So yeah, I wish Doni will explain about Hoho, but it will be a long story again, what's the meaning of Hoho. But we will listen later, even though we don't know the answer, what's the meaning. So he documented Hoho, the sound from Nias, extensively and made a real contribution to preserve Nias oral tradition. And as a part of Nias local community, we are really appreciate about what Konus already done for us. However, the meaning stayed behind. So without the active involvement of the local community, the recording remained merely acoustic expression, detached from their cultural, linguistics, and historical significance. And yeah, I would like to explain how important the local community through some theories, because my background is linguistics. It is Delheim's with the theory ethnographic communication. Delheim's said that language use does not occur in vacuum, rather within in social and cultural context. So social and cultural context will be explained through the local community. And according to the theory of thick description from Clifford Geertz, symbols including speech, rituals, gesture, music, and other cultural expression can only be understood within the cultural context that gives them the meaning. So everything should be understood by the contribution of the local community. And also here from Etienne Wenger with the theory of community practice, knowledge is created, shared, and sustained through participating in community. Community members learn cultural practice through active participation, observation, and interaction. So yes, only because all the knowledge it's coming from the local community. Of course, local community is very important. And also about intangible cultural heritage from UNESCO. This is also really underlined that local communities is very important. Local communities are the primary custodians of intangible cultural heritage. Now the findings. So, we would like to relate it with actually the local community is very important. Like we found from the data of Yakuns, the number item is 27. The title is Ho Ho Si Bohong. And it may be interpreted in Indonesia as bohong. Bohong is a liar. But actually, according to the South Nias local community, the correct title is Ho Ho Si Bohong, not Ho Ho Si Bohong. So in Liniha or in Nias language, Si Bohong means new, not liar. So this is demonstrating how reliance on local linguistic knowledge can fundamentally alter the interpretation of cultural texts. Interesting, around 3:25 minutes in recording, someone seems to say a word that sounds like Sibohong. However, when we listen to it through the lens of Nias language and local knowledge, the word is more likely Siboho. And also another finding on the item number 71, the title is Fauhina. The performers is Fangaro. Actually, it's not Fauhina, but it is Faohina. Faohina. A repertoire traditional associated with women's performance. However, Kunz recorded it from Fangaro. So Fangaro is not the woman. He is a policeman station in Hinako. Yeah, and we know this. As a local community, even though it's some many years ago, we know this name. He is a policeman station in Hinako in Telo Island. So although Kunz noted this anomaly, only the local community's interpretation provides a meaningful explanation. It's only us. Okay, and then the finding number 90 and 100, that is the term Faluaya, and then could say it is Hoho Bawaluaya and Hoho Bawi Tataro. Actually, it is wrong. It should be this is Hoho Bafaluaya, meaning a Hoho chanted while performing Faluaya. Similarly, Hoho Bawi Tataro. Actually, if we translate it in a free translation, Bawi is speak, Tataro is sitting. So of course, this is not the name of Hoho. Yeah, it should be rendered as Hoho Bafetataro. So Bafetataro meaning a Hoho chanted while in a seated position. Yeah. And then there are indigenous classification of the Nias local community. Hoho comprises two major categories. The first one is Hoho Bafetataro, refers to Hoho performed in seated position, including, this is all the types, yeah? If I have to explain it, of course it will be another time. Hoho telu nabua, hoho si telu fanema, hoho fauhi sanasu, hoho niwa ninahungul, and hoho fanorisi. And number two, hoho ba fesindro, refers to hoho performed while standing, including hoho maluaya, si eluk, si olige, hoho faluaya, janege, and hoho famandaya hasi. So we have two kind of categories. Then also here, the title is Fanehe, or Famuguru, Famuhuge. Actually, it is not the type of hoho. Actually, Fanehe and Famuhuge Um, it is an exclamatory utterance used to express collective agreement or affirmation. For example, when endorsing decisions during a traditional assembly, that what we call orahu. So like meeting in the village. So there is another also explanation about orahu, because in orahu, someone will say something to somebody, but then somebody cannot answer directly. So should be the mediator also to answer like, yes, that's right, something like that. So we say, so something like that. So actually, this is not. The name that Yakuns put in the note, it is actually Hoho Maluaya Si Eligu, a type of Hoho traditionally performed while standing. During the performance, and the participant hold hands in circle and execute circular movement as they would chant, like this. This is the sound. Okay. This is Hoyo, and then there is a picture also. So they make a circle. This is the traditional village. So this is the traditional house, and then usually in the middle of the village, there is like a dancing to do the Hoho Maluaya. So we see Maluaya Si Oliga performance, a large circular dance involving many participants like this, so many people. And then here, down in the second picture, we can see that actually Yakuns, when he record the sound, someone should be stand very close to the phonograph. So of course, if it is not very close, the voice should be cannot be captured clearly. So here we may say that this is what Yakun's recording is a performance staged for the machine. So this is important because Edison Amberola phonograph Kunz use was not technically capable of recording a large performance like this Maluaya Si Eliga. So we may say that it is not naturally happen. It is a full communal, in the full communal performance, because the recording, people must be very close with the machine, with the recorder. Of course, when the Yakuns met the recording, it is not happen like we see in the picture. So what archive is and isn't a mediated fragment, not the whole. Kunz recording are curated representations shaped by technical limit of the phonograph. They are not complete reproduction of live performance. Elements such as movement, ritual context, audience interaction, spatial ambience are only partial present. So it is not the fully presentation. So the local community is the key to the sound. Without their contribution, the ho-ho that Kunz documented remain meaningless. His archive stays invaluable, but only as a mediated fragment, never a complete representation. So related with decolonization, it should not be understood as an attempt to take ownership of historical narrative from one group and transfer them to another. After all, many of the sources through which we understand the history and culture of Nias have themselves come from external observers. So we also appreciate with the external observers. But what we want here, a dialogue. So in the context of Nias and Suara Yang Pulang, academic knowledge, colonial archives, community memory, local language, and living cultural practice should be brought into dialogue. Through this process, what is restored is not only the historical narrative, but also the relationship between Nias people and their own cultural heritage. Like what Donnie said, that actually we don't know before about this. So it is like, of course, Suara Yang Pulang. Even we finally can know the sound of our great-grandfather, Barani, from Yankun's documentation. So, of course, we also appreciate with this. So, what kind of dialogue that we want? It is an equal relationship, equal dialogue. One that neither privilege one voice as the sole authority, nor reduce the other to a mere object inquiry. So everyone should join in equal level. You can get this academic knowledge, colonial archive, community memory, local language, and living cultural practice. Sauhada. Thank you. It is in English.
So, Ibu Rebecca and Bang Doni, thank you so much for the presentation. It is magical, still magical for me personally until now to listen to the whole story and even I think the radical development after returning the voices and become the Hoho religi, and then now it's become more complex into the meaningful archive that become more contextual to the Nias cultural knowledge. Thank you so much for the presentation. And now we're gonna move to the next presentation from Ibu Citra Ariandari. It's gonna be 20 minutes. Thank you so yeah, thank you so much. Please welcome Ibu Citra.
Thank you. Is that okay if maybe more 3 minutes?
Sure.
I will show my phone.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you for the committee that I can speak here and share my last research. Okay. Actually, I'm afraid that my talk will be long, so I will read my paper. Late one evening in Yogyakarta, I was scrolling through Yale University Art Gallery online catalog. Among thousands of digitized objects, 4 images stopped me. Javanese manuscript illumination, Catholic simply, gift of Thomas Have, no date, no provenance detail, just Java, and an approximate period late 18th, early 19th century. Even in low resolution digital form, this image spoke a visual language I recognized. I showed them to friends, colleagues, and Dalang. I knew personally. Without exception, they could read them. This is Berkudoro. This might be the Dong Abo with his animals. This is Cirebon style, not Yogyakarta. How could they know? They had never seen this manuscript. This object had been in the US for generations. There were no labels, no captions, yet the knowledge was immediate, confident, and precise. That paradox became my research question. How does the visual narrative knowledge persist when its material substrate is absent? Next. And then next. This is a really question about restitution and reconnection. Can knowledge be reconnected to be an object it's been separated from 200 years without the object ever coming home? Next. I worked into direction at once. Ethnographic interview in Yogyakarta with practitioners who had never seen this manuscript, and archival research in Yale with the physical object themselves, comparing what lives in the archive against what lives in the repertoire. Next. Before traveling to Yale, I selected for illumination from their online collection and brought high-resolution printout to 4 people, each representing a different relationship to Javanese performance traditions. Next. Meet Saka, 11 years old, 4th generation Dalang. When I showed him the manuscript, his response was immediate. This is Workudoro, large body, like winged, the checkered cloth, long fingernails, tight hair. Notice the precision technical terms, not casual description. Where did he learn this? From YouTube, sometimes at performance, not from manuscript, from observation. Then I asked him to draw. Without looking back, he reproduced it. Correct proportion, accurate details, he didn't copy. He regenerated it from internalized knowledge. An 11-year-old in Yogyakarta can read a 200-year-old manuscript he has never seen, because the visual grammar doesn't live in the manuscript, it lives in embodied practice. Second, now with Ipon, 25, a gamelan musician trained through oral transmission, through rasa, feeling, not notation. I show him the combat scene and asked, could you imagine the music? He said, at the beginning they are fighting, so we could use playon or sampak. Tempo not yet too fast, but later, after Satyaki is hit, the tempo accelerates. He was hearing a static image. These manuscripts aren't just a picture. They are performance score encoding musical information. Ipon can hear what scholar only see. And then next, Kicatur Benyek Kuncoro, a master dalang, 3rd generation, performing professionally since the early 2000s. From the image, he reconstructs the story, title, character identities, the specific weapons and the climatic moment, even the character nicknames, Bimo Kunting, and why he earned it. But what impressed me most, when I showed him a manuscript mixing different traditions, he said, no, this one, I'm also confused. A master dalang admitting uncertainty. Even in confusion, he proposed hypothesis. He knows what he doesn't know. That truly a mystery. And then, finally, meet Ibu Sri Ratna Sakti Mulia, philologist and the director of Pakualam Palace Library. She showed me a manuscript where horse was encoded in leaf patterns, invisible at first glance, but there, if you know how to look, she distinguished 2 levels of literacy. Recognizing obvious figure, which Saka and Kitsato do brilliantly, and decoding hidden symbol, which requires culinary training. Images aren't decoration, she told me. They inscribe meaning in memory. Together, these 4 represent different ways of knowing: visual, oral, narrative, and scholarly. No single person holds all of it. a community does. Next. I flew to New Haven to meet the material object, but the manuscripts weren't at the gallery downtown. They were 30 to 60 minutes away at the Hotel Study Center, a former aspirin factory converted into climate control storage. The building felt like a hospital. Long corridor, fluorescent lighting, almost no people. What I found there was staggering. Rows of boxes holding an estimated 23,000 pieces of wayang, 23,000 objects that once danced in firelight, now sleeping in the dark, while the knowledge rhythm lives alive in Yogyakarta. Next. Of the 4 manuscripts, I choose book 1, the Werkudara manuscript, as my focus, about 253 pages, insect damage and fragile, but the ink still legible, with roughly 10 types large visual marker indicating musical transitions. The other 3 were whether too damaged to stylistic anomaly. In one case, turned out not to be a manuscript, but all printed book in a Dutch notation. I photographed, transcribed, and classified book 1 systematically. The stage I'm most excited about the last one, working with a Pesinden to actually perform complete tembang section from the manuscript, bringing a 200 years old text back into sound. Here's what 2 weeks of translation revealed. The archive doesn't just supplementary memory, it corrects it. First, when I show Kitsatur this image, one name puzzled him, Jaya Suparna. But the manuscript revealed he is likely Gatut Kaca's son, using a local Carangan name variant. And the scene remarkable, Bima the invisible warrior is defeated by his own grandson, humiliated, sitting slumped, a story about the younger generation surpassing the elder, one the oral tradition today has simplified or lost entirely. Second, the manuscript describes Semar, the beloved close servant, as an ulama performing Islamic prayer, evidence that in the 18th and 19th centuries, Islamic practice and Hindu Japanese wayang tradition weren't separate. They were woven together. Today's performance don't emphasize that it has faded. Third, and this ties the first 2 together, the visual markers throughout manuscript indicate musical change. Semar prayer scene in the written in the Pangkur, the tembang for teaching and wisdom. Bima's battle is written in Durma, the tembang for conflict. The manuscript doesn't just tell what happens, it tells you how it should sound. So, 4 findings. Knowledge lives in people, not just objects. Saka, Ipon, Kitsatur could read manuscript they never seen because the knowledge system is alive. But the archive preserves what practice has lost: complete battle narratives, psychological complexity, religious syncretism, and musical structure. Archive and practice need each other. The archive is a score, it holds the notes, but the score doesn't make sound. You need a musician. Knowledge is distributed. The child knows visual code, the musician knows oral pattern, the dalang knows story structure, the scholar knows manuscript system, all necessary, non-sufficient alone. And finally, this Carangan manuscript preserves what contemporary village center wayang is losing: village creativity, religious flexibility, experimental narrative. What I've just described is an argument, and the film that follows tries to show in image and sound the manuscript in quite literally and beginning to dance. Thank you. And this is the film.
Ini namanya Werkudara. Dia bertubuh besar seperti Dara Bayu. Nah, yang membedakan dia ada poleng, kuku poncoloko, dan bergelung.
Awal dari adegan ini kan kayak mereka itu sedang berkelahi gitu, jadi bisa menggunakan playon atau serbak atau sampah tadi dengan tempo yang masih belum terlalu cepat gitu. Tapi nanti setelah mungkin ini yang tokoh Setyaki ini terkena pusaka godonya Werkudara ini nanti akan dipercepat gitu temponya. Gitu, dan nanti akan ada mungkin dialog atau biasa disebut dengan tantang-tantangan antar tokoh yang nanti dilanjutkan serbak atau sampah dengan kode dari dalang berupa dodokan kotak seperti itu. Nanti akan dimulai oleh kendang lalu diikuti oleh instrumen lainnya. Untuk garap iringannya instrumen dender digambarkan seperti ini. Dedak, dedak.
Gereja itu ada satu lakon, ada satu kisah yang di situ ada satu adegan pertempuran antara si Werkudara dengan Setyaki, dan itu nanti lalu kenapa Setyaki itu juga punya nama Bima Kunting.
Three people, three ways of reading on one same image. Saka recognizes this is Werkudara. If one hears, this is playon, this is sampah. Curatorial narrates, this is Bima Kunting, this is the thorn pollen, this is the name earned. But this manuscript holds more than what they seem. There are layers beneath layers. There are symbols behind symbols. There are codes that need another key to unlock. Not just seeing, not just hearing, not just storytelling, but reading the architecture of meaning itself, understanding how ink and image speak to each other, knowing where knowledge hides and why.
Di dalam manuskrip Jawa, selain ditulis dengan dengan tinta, ya, dengan tangan, karena manuskrip ya dengan tangan, itu juga di beberapa tempat di sejumlah skriptorium tertentu naskah atau manuskrip itu dihiasi dengan iluminasi. Nah, iluminasi itu fungsinya untuk mencerahkan manuskrip. Ada yang untuk pepadan, yaitu menandai setiap pergantian bait tembang. Setiap satu buku itu diberi gambar-gambar tertentu yang kemudian gambar itu diterakan di dalam bait-bait, sehingga seseorang kalau akan melihat gambar, melihat atau mencari data kayak tembang apa ya, kemudian yang gambarnya demikian, nah teringat, sehingga tidak harus menghitung guru lagu, guru wilangan, cukup dengan melihat tanda-tanda gambar yang ada di teks sudah bisa membantu pembaca mengetahui menggunakan pepadan apa. Biasanya berawal dari imajinasinya, berawal dari ada suatu kisah, kemudian dalang ya menceritakan, kalau itu wayang ya, dalang menceritakan, kemudian ada yang bisa melukiskan, menuliskan dan melukiskan lalu digambar, sehingga kadang-kadang sebuah teks kalau itu sudah untuk dilisankan sudah berbeda dengan teks yang pakem, beda apa ya, kisahnya agak berbeda, dibumbui dengan tergantung apa ya, imajinasi seorang pelukis yang sudah mungkin oleh dalang dikatakan, tolong ini nanti kisahnya dilukiskan ya, digambarkan ya. Jadi ada gambar, ada yang diwayangkan. Teks lebih dulu daripada gambar. Selama ini yang saya lihat, gambar itu memperkuat teks.
closed, but its story remains open. This paper is still, but its ink still moves. This manuscript is far, but its knowledge is near. Because knowledge doesn't live in paper, it lives in hands that draw, in ears that hear, in voices that narrate, and in eyes that read. This ink dances, and as long as there are hands to draw, ears to hear, and voices to tell, the dance will never stop.
Thank you so much, Ibu Chitra, for a very wonderful presentation. And I'm thinking like after listening to the presentation from Bang Doni and Rebecca and also Bu Chitra, I can imagine that Sonic is, if we want to know more about the knowledge behind the Sonic, then it needs like multi-dimensional approach to get into the knowledge. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for every presentation that we following until now. And I hope Bang Doni still join us. Can we check again the Zoom? Yeah, I was expecting that.
Yeah. I'm still here.
Yeah, I was expecting that we're gonna see another picture of Ibu Chitra in University of Amsterdam, because first time we saw like almost 10 years ago picture of Pak Morgana and then Bang Doni from a year ago. It just seems amazing. Sorry, Pak Morgana. Yeah, so we actually still have another 30 minutes for a discussion. And yes, please everyone, if you have a question or things that you want to share, anything, yes, please. Yeah, one there. Yeah, I'm gonna accept the first three. First from ini baterainya habis. Pakai kacamata yang di belakang, sorry namanya lupa. Sama-sama kacamata ya. Do you hold?
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. First of all, let me introduce myself. So my name is Rizky Pertiwi, and I'm a history student from Universitas Gajah Mada. And here I would like to ask a question. So previously I checked into Yapkun's collection in order to finish the Barbaralitus assignment. So yeah, I found out that Yapkun's always involved the local community to request the songs. And then Bu Rebecca and Pak Doni said before, like they were explained how local community took a very important role into it. And my question is, what if the local community does not exist nowadays and disappear? And since we were not only listening to the sounds to the sounds heritage, but also reading into it. So what alternative or how we get the local knowledge itself? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But Kelly, we collect the question first, or do you want to, Bang Doni and Bu Rebecca, want to directly give him the answer? Okay, we're gonna collect the questions first, and the next we have Barbara, please.
I just wanted to give some attention to our Birgitta Swara juga, because she was the one who was singing on the phone and also
Yeah, okay, good morning. Well, if she want to say something, okay, good morning everyone. My name is Duki, I'm from Universitas Islam Indonesia. So to be sure that I'm not a historian, I'm a communication scholar. But I'm very interested to join this session. Thanks for the committee to inform me in this, and also to understand the connection between what happened in the past, in the colonial era, when the Netherlands also in terms of country, Netherlands in terms of individual come here and then try to record many things regarding the cultural heritage and also many things about Indonesia. So I listened carefully what Pak Margono mentioned, also Mas Doni, Mbak Rebecca, and Mbak Citra. Yes, I learned very much for this kind of information. To my interest, I'm seeking more maybe analysis or reflection from you all regarding the meaning behind this. And then it seems like Margana's presentation is not finished yet, I guess. So could you explain me at least what exactly your interpretation between this correspondence among Yakun and Jojo Ciburo, yeah. For me as a media scholar, I'm still interested to know more about why both of them are using like letters for communication, for instance, and also what was like the equality position between these two guys from the perspective of what you call colonialism, maybe also anti-colonialism behind this communication, or maybe you did found like the motive behind this communication beyond the recording or beyond the intention to preserve the kind of cultures you mentioned. This is one question. Also, my question more or less the same to Mas Doni and also Mbak Rebecca regarding you mentioned. Mas Doni, I still remember try to understand the situation, the history of the returning the Hogo from the Netherlands to Nias as part of relations instead of maybe also to some extent we can say dialogue between these two. The question is, after returning the artifacts to Nias, what next you are doing to understand this? I mean also to engage this among the diaspora of Nias in the context of academic studies, in the context of understanding the colonial and post-colonial position between the two countries, right? Far away than the returning artifact as part of celebration, the returning itself as our own heritage, heritage. It was the activities, or maybe what already you are trying to locate this context in the history of colonial and colonial studies among us. Perhaps also my question goes to Mbak Citra, if you have the answers, interesting for me. I guess this is only the question. So thank you again for inviting me to join this. Terima kasih. Back to moderator.
Thank you, Pak. Sorry, once again, your name?
Mas Duki
Mas
from
Duki.
Universitas Islam Indonesia.
Mas Duki. Ya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. Ya, Pak Wahid. Ya.
Thank you, Rani. I have a question to Citra. It's a very fascinating presentations and also story about the manuscript, but also the visual, the wayang. Maybe people from wayang studies can study more about this, but I'm interested more about the story of the manuscript itself. So maybe you can also tell us, maybe I missed, maybe you have explained it in your presentation, but I missed it. So who actually wrote the manuscript? Because I think he's the mastermind of the story actually, and then we are now really trying to understand why there's this kind of different visualization of this character of wayang, and some the master, the Dalam says it's really produced by someone outside the wall of the Keraton. So it must be like a counterculture to the hegemonic narrative of the court or Keraton, maybe, I don't know. So, the more interesting question for me is why it was in Yale. Who brought the manuscript to there? It's maybe outside the Yapkun's collection, rather, but Daniel knows the story. But I think the information about what is it? The name Pak Margono, the asal usul collection. Genealogy, but also how, and the agency who brought the collection to America, to United States, because it's means that it's not the Netherlands, of course, the traditional collector of cultural artifacts from Indonesia, but why is this USA? It's really important, I mean, to know, to see, or to explain, and to show to all of us that colonial collection or collection of cultural objects from Indonesia is beyond the Netherlands. And it's like involving global actor, or maybe you can really put it on a global scale, global context, or maybe there's some connections between empires, and then and I understand that this also happened. We can really have or see that the collection, the Indonesian collections in Russia, in Europe, of course, but also outside Europe and Australia, etc. So, but this is like the informative question. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Wahid. Yeah, we can directly answer the question. The first one from Pak Tiwi. It's directly to the NIAS community, Bu Rebecca and Bang Doni, but of course, Bu Citra and Pak Margana could also join the discussion. How if the local community disappear?
Yes. Well, I think it is already answered. If there is no local community, all the documentation of Yakuns will be meaningless. That's why in sociolinguistics we have to do like language maintenance. So no local language, no local community, and all the recording will be nothing. So what we have to do right now, like what Chris Hounds already do, is trying to preserve, trying to maintenance all of this. It's like some vocabulary in Nias language, it is disappear right now because all the vocabulary is actually in the traditional house. So now traditional house it is reduced. So some of the vocabulary we don't use it anymore. What is interesting, like there is one like a bridge between one wall to another wall. That's a bridge. It is called a bridge of mouse. Now, in the young people, they don't understand what is a bridge of mouse. So we are actually very nice to mouse and yes, people start to give the bridge to the mouse. Or maybe some mouses always pass on that bridge, so we call it mouse. But now we don't know. Also like eyes, we say just mata in like Indonesian, but actually it's her. Nias, I mean young generation now we don't know. They don't know about her. That's very rare to use the word of her. So yeah, this is your turn as a young generation. Gen Z, yeah, do something for this. Okay, please don't give.
Yeah. Can you hear my voices?
Louder, please.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Regarding the question, how we can know the meaning if the local community is disappearing. So I think we can still approach the meaning of Yapun recording, but we must be honest. We can never claim to fully recover the meaning of the archive. So what we can do is reconstruct possible meaning carefully using probably multiple traces, such as we can use Kuhn's own notes, titles, metadata, file diary, and description. But we should treat them as partial because Kuhn's was an outsider and worked within the colonial research framework. Second, probably we can compare the recording with older written sources, such as missionary writing, colonial report, ethnographic description, and this source may preserve term, context, practice, and that probably no longer remember locally. But again, they must read critically because they also carry their own bias. And thirdly, we can analyze the recording itself through linguistic and sonic clue. The word, dialect, vocal type, rhythm, repetition, call and response structure. Because sound can reveal things that written metadata may miss. And probably we can also work with related communities, not the exact village or the exact place where the recording was made. If the original local community no longer exists or no longer remember the tradition, we can probably consult the speaker from neighboring area, well, from the descendant, from diaspora community, or everything that relate to the source community. So, but the more important thing is when the local community is no longer able to provide the full context, we do not lose all the possibility of meaning, but we must shift from claiming certainty to building responsible interpretation to archive, language, comparison, descendant, and related living tradition. Because the goal is not to recover a pure past. We cannot recover a pure past, but to create a careful dialogue between remaining traces and present community. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe Pak Mardana or Bu Citra want to add something?
Okay, still first question or?
Up to you.
I think the specific question is
Okay.
So I will respond to last the question. Yeah, it's you know, it's, as I mentioned in the early of the presentation, that there's a basic argument that all these artifacts, sound archives, they are not an isolated artifact. You know that sometimes if you find the recording, then start listening, you don't know how this was recorded. why they recorded it and how the process of recording. Is this input power relation? Is this input of social relationship? So the context of social context or institutional context, this need to be understood as well. There's a proof in this correspondence between Yakut and Curatorial. It shows that this is not audience contract with Curatorial is part of the process that involved in a kind of contract, and even contract, in a kind of situation where Curatorial must sign the contract because of a certain situation. This is for and how the business recording in the time was also took place in a certain way. And in other way, we can find a different story. Of course, when it's about the government institution and how the government institution have the interest of recording all this kind of instrument, traditional influence. They had their own interest. So, sound archive could not explain themselves about those processes. So you need to find out why all the sound archive existed and to what extent this input ideology, input interest, input social or cultural reason. So this kind of document is very interesting to be discovered, to understand the existence of the recording itself, to get more understanding about the archive, not only the contents, not only about wayang or gending or tembang, but how this took place. For instance, I have a very interesting letters correspondence between Yakut and Brandbaus. Brandbaus is kind of advisor, an expert on the ground. When Yakut discovered about the news about one of the assistant of the American researcher that want to document the Hailer Redemption is this kind of sacred dancing in Surakarta. It's called Bedoyo Ketawa. He was murdered. She was murdered. According to my investigation based on the local news in that period, 1925, is that actually this activity was against by Sunan's members. So it means that it's not easy to record something. And 2 people killed because of this activity. So this kind of story is very important. That the activity of the recording is not as simple as we understand, as we listening to the archive itself. We can tell a lot about the sound archive if we also discover also the social and historical context about the recording. So recording event is something else, and the recording sound archive is something also else that they relate. You can give a meaning of that, not only about the contents of the sound archive, but also the historization of the sound archive themselves is very important to discover. That's all.
Thank you, Pak Magana, and thank you also Bu Rebecca Bondoni for the answer. And also, there's still another question from Pak Duki about what next after what next after the voice returning home?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's more about the context of academic, Pak. Yes, please, Bondoni.
Yeah. So okay, thank you for the question, and I think this is the very important question because after the voice return, we cannot stop there. And I think the more important question is how, after these voices is written, how do we study them responsibly? I think that's the more important question. That this archive that have been written should be studied not only as a music, but also as a product of colonial encounter. Yapkun's recording is valuable, just like Bu Rebecca say in her presentation, but they are not neutral. They were shaped by colonial condition, recording technology, the presence of an outside researcher. Even in Musik Inias, Yapkun says that he gives some kind of treatment to the people so the people can perform to him. And also the limit of the phonograph, like Bu Rebecca already explained is in her slide. So the academic study here is really important, but it should not become another form of extraction. It should be collaborative. Scholar, linguist, archivist, and also the descendant, the cultural practitioner, and local community should work together. So the academic study is not became another form of extraction. The goal is simply not to produce a paper about Nias, about Hoho, about sound tradition, but to create knowledge that can also return to Nias and useful for cultural memory, for education, for language, and future practice. So that's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope it's helped, Ricky. And yeah, as Pak Margana also mentioned that there's also still so many reasons behind the sound recording or sound archive itself, and it's still related to kind of the reflection of what Nias cultural activists hope in the future about the sonic heritage academic courses in the future would be more responsible and not really repeating once again what the colonial context did. And yeah, we're gonna move to the last question for Ibu Chitra about more about the collection, the archive.
Okay, thank you. Actually, the question is so hard for me to answer because I don't know who wrote the books, because the book condition is very fragile, and I cannot find the writer who is that. And I'm also asking from the art gallery, and they just have the notion that given from Thomas Hafe, it's just like that. And nobody knows who is Thomas Hafe or something, says, just like that. But I have a special time at that time. I meet Matthew Cohen, Professor Matthew, that he gave me a chance to open all the books of the wayang, and then we match it the visual from the manuscript, and we found that manuscript actually we interpret that manuscript is from the Jombang Kediri region, because the color and the pattern is like that. I also, with my daughter, read the manuscript, and the story is not familiar because it's talking about the Bima is divided, and then also using when he divided and the knees going to down in the ground, and then the water came out, and the water for wudu. This is so so yeah, avant-garde, I think, at that time. And the story is really rare, and I never heard the story. Yeah, because I have opportunity to read all that manuscript, and it's very mind-blowing for me because the story is really rare. And then maybe if I have a time and I have a, yeah, I can make this the performance from there. manuscript because the story is really mind-blowing because the story is really different with the canon from the Pili centers is really different. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Citra. Yes, as it's almost 12, I think we should end our discussion. Oh yeah, that's the most important one, ya Pak. Okay, Bu. Yeah.
Okay. I think because some of friends told me that there is some like wayang lovers like that. He bought from for all over Indonesian region, and then he gave it to Yale University. Water arms, yeah. And that's why they have their all the collections. But actually, it's just a few Indonesian there, so it's just keep it in the art gallery and the depot. So there is my friends here from Yale, and maybe she can do it after this.
As long as I understand also that most of the manuscript or artifact in the United States mostly collected from or presented by private collector. Also they bought it from sometimes market, dark market, antiquity and something like that. So Pak Udani was some of the important person who has so many box of wayang that are given to Yale University.
23,000 pieces.
Yeah, that's mostly from private collectors.
Hope you answered, Pak Wahid. Yeah, we should end our discussion. Once again, thank you very much to our presenter. Please give applause. Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna have a break session and gonna have a nice after the lunch. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
I would like to remind you once again, if you haven't signed the attendance list yet, please remember to sign it out to ensure you get the merchandise, because one of them is a t-shirt and you are required to wear it during our visit to Lokananta on Tuesday. Thank you.